Hello and welcome to this week's Caregiver Question of the Week. This week we have a great question. It came in from a professional caregiver, and this is super relevant. It comes up all the time in live trainings that I do with higher standards caregiver training for non-medical home care agencies specifically. And so basically the question is, what do you do if a client or someone you're caring for wants you to do something and you're worried that it's not safe? So it's a really important question. Like I said, it comes up so often. So I think it's a great one to address here on Caregiver Question of the Week. Real fast first, my name's Amelia. I'm an occupational therapist. I'm also the owner and founder of Higher Standards Caregiver Training and the very proud co-founder of WCN University. That's Whole Care Network University. And this is for educational purposes only. So if anything that I say reminds you of someone or something that you think needs to be seen by a licensed healthcare provider, please advocate for seeing that actual licensed healthcare provider personally for you or for that person, because this is not a substitute for health or medical advice. It's not a substitute for a therapeutic relationship. It is for education only. Okay, so there are a couple of layers to answer to this question, or a couple of parts. The first is, and I just want to acknowledge that even though it seems obvious to say, well, if it's not safe, don't do it, and full disclosure, that's the first part of the answer. It seems obvious to say that, but it's a really awkward situation to be placed in, especially as a paid caregiver. When you're a professional caregiver, you're showing up to take care of this person and they want you to do something and it's your job to take care of them. And so it's an awkward situation to be in when someone is asking you to do something that you're afraid isn't safe, because there's a certain amount of obligation that's felt to meet the needs of that client and do what that client is asking to be done. So even though it seems like obvious, well, yeah, just don't do it if it's not safe, it's a little bit more nuanced than that. And it really can be a hard and awkward situation for non-medical caregivers to be placed in. So I just want to acknowledge that first before giving the answer today. But the first part of the answer is that no matter what, safety really does have to come first. That's the number one boundary that we have to have, whoever we are caring for other people. For me as an occupational therapist, for nurses, for doctors, for anyone really, the first boundary is this safe to do, right? And so if something is not safe, if it's not the right decision, if it's not the right choice, then we have to be firm in that boundary that says, we're not going to do this. And it's okay, I think, for non-medical caregivers to have that boundary as well. But that can't be where it ends, right? We can't just say, well, this isn't safe, we're not going to do it. Because at the end of the day, you still have a person in front of you who has a need to be met. So the second part of the answer is, we want to then find a safe way to meet the need in that moment. It might not be the ideal way that this person wants to have the task or the transfer done, but can we find a safe alternative to meeting that immediate need in that moment? Again, might not be exactly what they want, but can we present them with a safe alternative and say, hey, I so understand that you really want to, take this shower or do this transfer, whatever it is. I'm worried, both for your safety and for mine, that this isn't going to be a safe way to accomplish it. Right now, can we accomplish it in this other way that I know will keep you and I both safe? And then let's explore more options to work towards this goal of, completing the bathing in the shower or completing the transfer this way or whatever it is, right? Because we can't just leave it at, no, we're not going to do this, it's not safe. That's not going to go over. That's going to be a non-starter. No one's going to be happy in that situation. So we have to, find a safe alternative that we can do right then, but at the same time say, hey, but we also I understand this isn't ideal, so how we'll work to find a solution here. So then the next step of that is, okay, well, how do you work to find a solution? The fact is, a lot of times when people are in situations where care isn't safe or a transfer isn't safe, a lot of times that means there needs to be maybe different equipment involved. There may be more people that need to be involved. And often that also means the skilled healthcare provider team needs to be a part of that conversation, right? Certainly non-medical caregivers, non-medical home care agencies don't want to be put in that position of having to make equipment recommendations because or make care recommendations necessarily that are falling outside of the scope of the services that they want to do. So that's kind of another firm boundary that folks have to say, well, we can't really do this, but let's work with the home health provider, whoever that is. So when caregivers are finding themselves in this position, again, we do what? We do first, safety first, 2, find an alternative solution to get the need met in a safe way right now. And then 3, it really needs to kind of be run up the chain of command. Talk to the leadership in the home care agency, have them connect with and work with the home health team, the skilled providers who can go in, who can make a recommendation for the right equipment to get it done safely, who can, if necessary, maybe be the bad guy in that situation, whatever it is. But really, those are kind of the steps that have to be taken when someone wants to do something that is not safe, but they still have a need that needs to be met. And of course, everything that we do, we always want to be respectful of that person that we're being cared for, but also, or that's being cared for, but also respectful of the need to keep everyone in that care relationship safe. Because the safety of one person is just as important as the safety of another person. Okay, that is this week's Caregiver Question of the Week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have a caregiver question, then please feel free to ask it. You can ask it totally privately. All you have to do is click on the link to ask your question. You don't have to share your name. You don't have to share your email. You don't have to share anything except your question, so I can answer it. And if it's a question that I can't answer, then I will work to find the expert who can and bring them onto Caregiver Question of the Week to answer it for you. Okay, guys, until next week, please stay healthy, stay well, and most of all, take care. Bye.